Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to call the meeting to order. All rise. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Seated. Do roll call. I'll start. I'm Marty Schwartz.
Gavin?
Joe Krejci,
Thanks for being here. So you've all received a copy of the November minutes? Oh, we can't approve it. Right. Well, you've received copies of the November minutes.
Any corrections?
Yeah.
No.
I thought it was fine too. We just can't approve it. We'll hold that for the January. New business, Board of Health representation.
So we need to appoint somebody from this commission to. I'm looking at you, Mary Ellen, because last month we did officers.
and then we all thought you'd be the
We
perfect
were like
person.
nose goes.
That'll make sure you come to the next meeting.
So we have a few new members who will be starting in January. We might want to hold up on that because I know you're.
I know. Look at me, to say no.
Yeah.
It's only taken me 65 years. I couldn't say no to you though. I tried. And you're like, oh,
Oh, we're glad you didn't say no to me. Okay, so we're gonna hold off then on the Board of Health representation until January, and I'll leave that for move on to a senior center visiting guest policy. Obviously, there's an issue.
Yeah, well, there is, we can't vote on this because we don't have a quorum.
Right.
But I,
Need
but,
to-
oh, I'm so sorry, Joe. Yeah, I got it. I'll do it. Brenda, did you want to jump in on it? Or do you want me to start this?
Start.
Okay, perfect. So we've had, it's prompted by somebody's interest in coming and participating in an activity on an occasional basis. What our policy is it's 50 and up. Some centers allow for an occasional guest who's under 50. Some are like, absolutely not. I wanted to consider this. This typically falls to Brenda to be able to say, you're not 50, you can't do this, you can't be here. And that's putting her in an awkward position. That's hard. So what we came up with and had the town attorney review, what I came up with, Brenda's gonna have to chime in on this. What it came up with is a policy that would allow for a guest to come 4 times throughout the year with advance notice, registering, signing a daily waiver, and checking in with the office and staying with that host member the entire time. We would not allow anybody to do pickleball, exercise classes, or any of the paid programming or lunches or anything, because it's just for visiting, whether it's for a chess game or for flying model airplanes, not for classes. And we have a ping pong room, we have a pool room. It's that kind of thing. So it's enabling somebody to be a visiting guest 4 times a year, which is what I'm proposing as the policy. But Brenda,
Can I ask you a question?
yeah,
Was this a caretaker, like an aide coming with somebody or?
no,
No, they're,
because we allow that.
Yeah, okay.
companions, caretakers,
Yeah.
an aide or.
So this
I mean,
was,
should we
This is
indicate that
just-
though, that it's a person's a caretaker that they're being allowed?
That's in our membership.
It is a membership.
okay,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to preclude that. but-
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
no, that's.
Well, what do they typically come for? I'm just curious.
Maybe playing pool or ping pong or
I mean,
Chess.
and these
chess.
people are coming by themselves usually, not with
With
a
a
senior.
friend that's already a member.
Oh, they are coming with a friend. So they would.
Yeah, because somebody
It's
just
under
walks off the street.
Yeah, right. That would
and
be.
Get in.
I would think. Yeah.
And you have the age requirement, it's 50. Some people are under 50.
Okay.
So it just begins to, just my concern a little bit was, you're already at
Not a rec
lower
center.
age.
Yeah.
We're not a rec center. Unfortunately, there are not other places to played ping pong or pool. Yes, but
That's on the town and the library system or something, the senior center, to provide that for someone, you know what I mean?
right,
I'm not snapping at you, but the
Yeah,
point is,
no.
this place is for seniors.
Right.
And you're right, we're on the lower side of that number, significantly compared to others.
Sure.
yes.
We'd be opening this up to, come on in, you know what I mean? And
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, a little bit, and just monitoring that because we don't have, small staff and
So then
well,
you
we
would
try
have,
and see everyone that comes
you have a
in.
file for each non-senior that comes in because they're signing a waiver. And you keep that waiver in their files when they sign a second one, a third one, a fourth one, and perhaps a fifth one, you'd be able to look.
We would, and we'd have a visitor log, we decided we could have a visitor log, so I think this is okay to try it and see if it becomes an issue and we may have to revisit it. I don't think it will be an issue, I mean, we don't have a whole coming in, I mean, they might come in and say, probably mostly for pickleball or some of our exercise classes, because it's such a vibrant group and it's such a wonderful offering
Right.
that they want to join in, but we don't have too many age of 50. So I think if we try it, I'm okay with trying this. This looks like this is written up well, put it together, and the town attorney's office saw it, so that's really key
Okay.
as well, just as far as language and
well, it kind of, it's not challenging, but it's an obstacle to go through this, sign a waiver, which is good. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because it's kind of a stopgap.
Yes.
Well, and the waiver is helpful to have anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also putting something in a place that makes it longer than just dropping in. with
Right,
the-
exactly.
But members, we do that all the time though, because members are coming in almost every day, new members. So it's pretty much the same waiver. It's the membership form, so it's more just keeping track.
Right.
But with the visitor log, that will.
It adds a step for Brenda mostly.
Yeah.
How would you get this information out? Would you have this posted someplace?
I'm not sure about that. I guess we'd have to, I mean,
I
that's
mean,
a
you could also
little
post it on the door.
worrisome. I mean,
Well,
we
that's
could-
when
we
somebody
could-
walks in, I mean, because you can't do this with the exercise class.
No.
So who would this be? People who want to play cards or stuff like
Cards,
that, or ping pong or
ping
something?
pong.
So now when they come in, I would think you would just say, fill this out.
I think we could put it in the newsletter and email.
That's true.
See
but
the
it-
front, it come to the office, visiting guest, non-senior policy.
Yes.
Hey, how are you?
I'm
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Everyone.
Okay.
Hi, sorry I missed the last meeting.
It's okay. You just gave us a quorum.
I was determined to meet it. The last time I last time I was out of town, my kids lost their house to Hurricane Helene.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
I go back and forth all the time.
But Brenda, so the folks that visit that veterans office. you know,
Oh,
Not
no,
at all.
no,
Okay,
no, only participating in the Bigelow Center offerings. Some of the offerings.
We're on new business.
Pretty clear about that.
Yes.
Just we're discussing a visitor policy at the senior
Oh, okay,
center.
I see, okay.
You know, I did do a quick poll of our area of, the senior centers that we're in touch with just in our local area. And some allow it, most don't.
All or
You have to
the
have-
type of policy that we're proposing.
That nobody has a written policy. So I'm not comfortable if considering this without something in writing that's already cleared by the town attorney. So we've got that. It's deciding whether or not we want to open it to under 50. We do have aides come in, we do have volunteers come in with their parents or, mostly they come with parents, right?
Yes. That's not, too often.
Sure,
They might want to
right,
join
right,
for a,
Brenda, what happens if
Special
I
lunch.
bring in a non-member who's over 50?
that's a question. I mean, we'd join.
No, because what I'm just
I
thinking.
think somebody visiting you.
Sure, I mean, I'm just thinking that my sister comes up and, I would think that's the type, so I was just.
She's
wondering.
only, she could come 4
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, I mean, that.
Well, that's
might-
why I'm wondering
it
if there
is-
should be a policy that applies for visitors regardless of their age.
If your sister came and she's over 50?
Yeah.
She would fill out a
Oh,
membership
yeah.
form, and then she could come as many times, every time she visits, she could come.
Even though
She
she's
doesn't
not a
live in
Fairfield
Fairfield.
resident.
We have
Yeah,
out-of-town
we
members.
generally, yeah,
Oh, really?
we generally
Oh,
just,
okay.
yes, because we do have that periodically.
Mhm.
Now, if it was, a sister from Trumbull and she was coming frequently, I might have a conversation saying you need to pay the out of town membership fee.
Yeah, she was coming to play pickleball against you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying the
That's a good
lifelong, the
question.
lifelong learners, I would think probably attracts a lot of people who are not taking the exercise classes. And that's what I'm wondering, is that the kind of people that bothers?
They're all members, the lifelong learners are all members, and those
Okay.
that are out of town pay
Yeah, they have to be
membership fee. They
members.
have to be.
They have to
members.
be a member to
Yes.
take it.
But so it's interesting that you don't have to live in the town of Fairfield to be a member and to participate in the activities.
No,
No.
yeah, many senior centers have that.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
We
interesting.
do because we're part of the Older Americans Act's lunch program, and we are required to have out-of-town members.
I see.
I had one of my clients that I brought here, actually, she was in Bridgeport, so.
Okay, okay. So as long as they're over 50, it doesn't matter where they live.
But out of town members do pay a $25.
So would Joe's sister have to pay $25?
Not as a visitor,
But if she came more than a certain number of.
Yeah, right.
right,
Yeah,
if she
like-
moved in.
well, no, but
Yeah.
not
Well,
even
that's what
if
I'm
she could-
thinking, yeah, she may stay for a month.
Right, or she could come back every other month to visit you.
She would not be able to.
We're not that friendly.
Right. Well, she wouldn't be able to do exercise or play pickleball.
Right.
She'd come in for, like, I mean, she could probably sit in with you on a lifelong learners if she paid, but those are all, paying classes. But
Okay,
we more than welcome her for a cup of coffee. Yeah.
okay.
And every now and then there are those cases that are just kind of,
One-offs, yeah.
yes, that we accommodate. I mean, we try to accommodate
Right.
those situations
Okay.
because, it's family
So
and
this is more for those situations where somebody is a member and they have a younger friend coming in on a more or less regular basis. Correct.
Yes.
or just people under 50 who
Yeah, because that's a difference, like, if my daughter's visiting and I wanna come here and she's
Right.
here for the month, and I wanna bring her to some things. Versus someone
So
who
just
has no
walks in, yeah,
relationship
they
and
live
just
in-
wants to join the
Bethel.
things and she's under
Yeah,
50,
yeah.
or that person. There's a difference there.
There's a difference.
And that's
Yeah,
why I'm kind of like,
I
I'm
know.
leaning towards no, just because I'd like to preserve it for the people that really, that's intended
Mhm.
for, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so just because someone thinks it's a deal to go to X because they're new in town and it's something social to do, they need to find something else, unless someone can persuade me differently.
it's not frequent. So I think that it's not necessarily a concern, but I think having something in place for if it does is just a good idea. If we're to,
The other thing, this is for a non-senior guest, so it almost leads one to believe that if they're the guest of someone, this would apply. Which is different than just somebody that lives someplace else that happens to be your business visit, staying at the Circle Inn or whatever it is, coming over to the senior center. Okay, so if it's a guest of a resident, that makes to me a lot more sense than just allowing, other than for the lunch program, allowing people to just sort of drop in and use the facilities.
This would be exclusively for a guest of a member.
Okay,
Yes.
so this is just for guests of the member.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
yes, so
So say Joe brings his sister, your sister would have to be with you everywhere you go in the senior
Mhm.
center. You would be.
Okay, well, that's
she-
different than what I was hearing, okay.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
it's strictly they have to be, and it's not that member is responsible, but they are that, the names are together and so, and their membership has to be updated to the member. So they have to be updated and paid if it's an out-of-town member and all of
Okay,
that
so they
is
would be-
checked.
So would they be escorted by the member?
Yes.
Yeah, they would be, okay.
Alright,
Yes,
so that's more restrictive.
Yeah,
I like the restrictions.
yes,
I do
and that's
too.
why having
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
written and a
Yeah.
policy that has been approved by.
but
Yeah,
nevertheless, what you're saying though is because of federal regulations, basically anybody over 50 could come into the center.
The lunch program is anybody over 60,
Over
so
60.
we are open for out of towners because of the lunch program. So
Right.
that we set the age at 50. So yeah, pretty much anybody over 50 could come. They can't, you know, they don't get that free, it's not free reduced lunch, it's a suggested donation lunch
Right.
until they're 60.
Okay,
But that requires, that lunch requires that we are open to out of towners. And out of towners isn't really the issue. It's that, you know, it's some people who are younger who are coming for activities that aren't available in other places.
so the out of towners would have to be, well, for this case, 60 or above, but you're saying we open it up to 50.
Well, no, everybody's 50 and above. For lunch, it's 60 and above.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. So it's 60 and above only for lunch.
Mhm.
So, but they would be entitled to benefit from the other programs available at the senior center beyond just coming for lunch when they're
Well-
there for the day.
Well, that's a great question. The distinction I would make would be that they wouldn't be, you know, social services is available to anybody who's a Fairfield resident. So if it was an out-of-town guest, they still would not benefit from the services social services provide. So that doesn't open that up. They would not be able to take the classes and the exercises, the pickleball, the lifelong learners, because they were too young. So this is more for like drop-in programs, like model airplanes, card games, things we don't charge for and that don't have a maximum number.
So they would be able to participate in those in addition to
Yes.
lunch.
Yes. Well-
Probably any presentations as well, anything that's free.
If that's
They
not
really
full.
could, That's not full. But again, it's also limited to just 4 times a year, so this guest it's limited.
This would be limited, not the people coming for the lunch program.
Yeah, lunch program.
Yeah, it would be
this-
open to
you know,
anybody
Guests
at
would
any time.
really. Guests would not. Guests under 50 cannot have lunch because it's 60.
They can buy lunch at full price, the
Right.
$13.
It's right.
Which would be the case for somebody at 55, we would enable, because we allow people from 50 on up. They can participate in the lunch program between 50 and 60.
Right, so it's not, if you are 60 and up, it's a suggested donation of $3. You
Okay.
get an envelope, you don't have to put a thing in it.
Okay.
Say Brenda wants to go to lunch with me, and I'm old enough to do the lunch. Brenda is not, so she would pay $13. It's not a suggested donation, that is the charge for lunch.
Okay,
So,
so if you're not 60, then you have to pay $13 to participate in lunch. program.
or if Brenda's daughter wants to come with her to have lunch with me,
Should be paying.
she'd be paying the full $13, and it doesn't matter.
$26.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing I say, Brenda, again, I would tend to have this applied to, I wouldn't do the 50 and plus, I'll do it for any guest. Because this event does away with the need to ask somebody their age. So if I come with my guest, we're gonna say, are you 50 and above? Because if you're 50 and above, you're subject to this. If you're not 50 and, well, it goes the other way around, excuse me. I just think I would just have this apply to any guest that comes for a senior.
Well, they have to put their age down on their
Okay.
on the waiver.
Okay,
So we'll have that.
right, but I mean, wouldn't it be easy, I'm just thinking for an administrative thing, to just have every guest of a senior have this policy applied? I mean, why do the 50 and above?
Really,
Well, right now, we have a
Right.
policy though, so if somebody is a visiting guest, they still have to fill out the waiver. We
Okay.
do have them do the membership form, so this is,
So why wouldn't you, yeah, I mean, why couldn't you just
because
incorporate
we
it all as
don't
one?
necessarily need to limit a 50 and up person to 4 times. They could visit more, if they joined us, they could visit as often as they like. But it's that capturing that under 50 that wants to
Participate in the activities.
participate in activities, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be easier, 'cause
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
It is
have it
kind of.
apply
It's
across
confusing,
the board.
because you have 50 to 60,
Yeah.
60 and above,
Can't
the lunch
assume,
program.
so, you know, and then we front desk, it's also,
I'm sure,
you know, just.
processing it all.
I mean, I agree if there was some way to make it an easy rule rather than so many different ones that apply to different but closed situations.
This is very unusual. You just need to have it. The 50 and up out of towners, people give it, you know, visiting one time with somebody. Even somebody can come over 50 and visit one time. fill out the membership form and they're not considered a guest, they're considered a part of us, they're a member. So we consider that new members. This is just that occasional one-off, and it doesn't happen very often. We just need to have our ducks in a row for this. It does happen. Instead of doing a once a year waiver, this is an each time waiver for somebody who cannot be a member.
This is basically just for the people under 50.
Yes, yes. And
Right.
approved by the town attorney for that
Sure.
purpose.
I mean, I'm fine with this. I would just suggest if there's any way of streamlining the other rules and regulations regarding membership, and I guess you're bound in some cases by statute to expand it, but if there is some way to have an easy understanding, streamlined rules that apply to everybody, it would be better, and maybe you can't, but I mean, I'm gonna leave here, I'm gonna forget all the rules.
Just know
Go
you're-
away.
You're, you are good to go.
Yeah,
Well, we're-
it's.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So,
just
yeah,
become
so
a
you're
member, it
good.
makes it a lot easier.
And really, it is pretty streamlined, and it's pretty, generally people who have a guest and wanna come in and, they stop and they let us know. And overall, the system works, this is just a good, having policies sometimes or written procedures is just helpful for us as we,
It is your comfort level of whether or not we want to open it up to under 50s. That's really the essence of it.
Right.
So, I mean, we could, do we have a quorum? All in favor of the proposed senior center visitor policy for non-seniors?
I move to,
Oh, okay,
I
go ahead,
move
yeah,
to
yeah.
approve the senior center visitor policy for non.
All in favor of the senior center visitor policy for non-seniors, say aye.
I-
Are there
Whatever you
any,
act as a second.
I'll second.
oh, is that okay, any
Yeah,
any negative, any nays? And the ayes have it, the motion carries, and I'm wondering if we should go back to the approval of the November minutes.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
So, who would like to make that motion?
I move to approve the November minutes as submitted.
Okay, we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So there, November minutes have been approved. Okay, so under new business, Board of Health representation, we said are we gonna do that, talk about that now, or?
If anybody's interested in serving on that list.
You go over what that would entail?
Perfect. So it's the Board of Health has a requirement that somebody from the Human Services Commission serve on that board. And I think it's a monthly meeting, sometimes they're canceled if they don't have a subject, and then reporting back to the Human Services Commission what is discussed there, like Carolyn did. But Carolyn since left us. So what we need is and I'm only looking at you, Katrina, because Mary Ellen already said no. That we're looking for somebody to do that. If you are not interested or not sure, that's fine,
Not
because
sure
we have new members coming on in January, so we can discuss it with them, so you don't feel any pressure.
Okay, fair enough. We'll set it next meeting for discussion. Okay, charter revision.
So the charter revision is, we should probably have that on our agenda for the next few meetings. Should get familiar with our section of the charter. I saw that Marty already submitted some notes about language, people first language, which is great. Anything that we want to change or go back to what we looked at before. Anything that we feel is important for the commission. I submitted from the department an idea that to combine the Commission on Disabilities with the Human Services Commission under Commission on Aging and Disabilities, because we struggle to have quorums for each of them. I don't know if they'll do that. I submitted it. Doesn't mean they take it up, doesn't mean they discuss it, but the commission, if the commission has concerns or issues that they want changed in the charter in general and also our section, let's take some time to discuss that.
We have time to do that then, Julie, I gather is.
I think they're looking for comments now.
Okay.
Department heads, we had to have ours in last week. So I think we have some time, maybe a month or two to put things in.
Okay.
And you don't have to wait for commission. No, you can do that on your own or the commission can do something.
So
So
watch the thing on TV, the meeting of the commission, and it looked like they had gotten comments because they were going through. That's why I was just wondering. I don't know how much progress they made, but it sounded to me like somebody had given them comments on revisions to the
Yeah.
charter. That's why I was just curious to see how it was.
Yeah, I don't know for how long that it's open for comments, but if you go on the town website and, during lunch, I love to watch meetings. And you can see all the comments that are submitted. They're all public.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So just from your experience, the time frame for that, you think would be before the charter is revised? How long would that take?
I honestly don't know. I know that it requires an election, it happens during the election that we would vote on it. I don't know if the goal is for this fall. I don't know. I know from the last time, people felt it was rushed and should have been broken down into several areas of voting instead of just one blanket vote, so.
And the other thing, I mean, obviously it makes some sense to combine the commissions, you say, because this way we're sort of more or less assured of a quorum and cover a lot of the same areas, the areas of interest of both. I know that you were looking to possibly change the name of I don't know if you want to discuss that.
Just from Human Services Commission to Commission on Aging and Disabilities. And Marty and I talked about this.
I like that.
Yeah, but also we had talked about it with Dan Van Horn, who's the chair of the Commission on Disabilities as well. And Marty had a great point about how we had discussed youth services and being in
Yes,
this,
that was gonna be my question.
this area. We don't know, we don't have that answer yet. So I'm not sure that we have the ability to impact that. I don't know. I don't feel as though I have the ability. The commission could certainly make a recommendation and that would forego a name change. So if that's something the commission feels strongly about, then the commission should submit something. In that
My
regard.
concern was that would restrict this commission or, the areas that basically we serve now. If we wanted to expand it and feel that it should be within our purview to expand it, then it would the name would limit in a sense that. And the other thing is it's the department of, so basically we'd be having the same name, we'd maintain the same name as the department, it's the Human Services Commission, it's the Department of Human Services. So that makes to me a certain amount of sense as well. But yet I'm totally in favor of combining the Commission on Disabilities with the Human Services
Why
Commission.
was it ever split out? I'm curious, because it was done before I.
Yeah,
Before I came
Why
to,
was it split out? Julie? Was it just,
Well, it was a task force, a subcommittee of the Human Services Commission.
okay,
And I'm trying to think of who the chair was. I think it was Nancy Legary. It might have been under Bernie's watch as well, that many towns have a separate commission on disabilities because that population is represent all ages of people with disabilities, not just seniors, and they felt it was important as a separate. Westport has one. They're a little bit more active than ours. What we're finding from colleagues is that human services commissions are just losing that steam. Several towns, the trend is to go to Commission on Aging because that gives a kind of a broader thing. It's not just know what human services is. So Commission on Aging and then on disabilities. So disabilities would be all ages, not just aging disabilities. So it's clear, it's making sure that's clear in it.
yeah, although certainly, if you had the title Human Services Commission, then you indicate the areas that the Human Services Commission is responsible for.
which the charter does.
Exactly. And this, as I recall, the Commission on Disabilities was established as a sort of a trial basis.
Right, 3 years, yep.
Yeah, to see how that would work out.
Yes.
So I'm kind of confused. I want to go back to this. So you're saying that the Human Services Commission title wouldn't exist?
Well, this is a department thing, so from my perspective, I feel like it's a better fit to have a commission on aging and disabilities rather than a human services commission and a commission on disabilities. That's not a commission, that's a me thing. I'm not saying if Brenda agrees. I think that better reflects what we're looking to do. I feel like the Commission on Disabilities is a great commission, but doesn't often get a quorum. We struggle with a quorum here and get more people involved, that would be helpful. The commission, I just wanted to go back to Marty's point, the Commission on Disabilities was set up as a temporary commission because the charter wasn't open. So it was for 3 years.
Okay.
And it's going to be extended 1 more year in January. There's a Board of Selectmen meeting to extend it 1 more year. And we can keep doing it 1 year at a time until there's something decided about with the charter.
And again, I would be in favor of merging it if you know.
I'm in favor.
Agreement. My concern was more just the name, because that sort of restricts us if we want to serve other populations.
that's what
Well, I was
wondering,
concerned because it
that's what I
doesn't take the
was-
veterans in. See, that, right, that's the whole thing.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Whereas I mean, I know in the charter, you can lay it all out.
Right.
But I would think that if I'm a veteran and I see something for aging and disabilities, I'd say, that's
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
what I want.
And again, I know we don't know where we're going with the Youth Services Bureau, but I think that when that's
Yes,
restricted to that, I just, you know.
Veterans is not in charge.
Our revision wasn't it? I thought in the revisions we try to make, I'll dig them out. Because
Yeah,
I think, I remember that was one of the key things that we tried to get in. But if not, we'll make sure.
Well, we should definitely.
I'll have to dig out.
Yeah,
If I
I'll
go to
see
the
it.
website, I
I
can
will
get all
find it
that.
and send it to everybody.
That's great.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, the youth service thing, I think that has a lot of potential for this commission. You know, I think it's evolved from what it has been, and I think in that meeting, a lot of very good points were brought up in servicing the town. And so even though I like the aging and disabilities, because my heart is in the aging population, I think they made a very compelling case for moving youth services under this commission. And so I think if we change the name, that negates that push, that force that we're trying to.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna end up with that.
Yeah, I
I know
know.
that's so.
Parks and Recreation wants to see that remains with them, I suppose.
We haven't had a follow-up meeting. Okay, I
Our
would love
first
to.
selectman said.
He seemed like all in, yeah.
Well, he seemed all in, but
Not all in, I'm sorry.
also I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he didn't think it had to be corrected in the charter.
Right,
So I think if putting it in the charter does a red flag, we had done kind of wishy-washy language that would include that if ever it was decided to come over. So I would just think maybe instead of putting Youth Services Bureau in the charter, that we just put the language that we come up with 2 or 3 years ago, which would encompass it if it ever did come in.
So you're saying Bill didn't, the first selectman didn't think that it
When he
needed
was
to be
here,
in the charter?
okay.
See, I wasn't here for that.
Yes,
meeting, and I
yeah.
missed
And
that.
he was all in favor, as we
Was.
know,
In favor.
but he seemed to indicate, again, this is me, that we didn't have to necessarily put it in the charter, but to do it administratively. That's what I thought at the last meeting we were discussing. Did that ever go, Mark,
Yeah.
that letter too?
Uh,
I think Loretta is going to present to the Board of Selectmen at some point. I don't know when that is.
Yeah, I mean, I would think, though, certainly our first selectman would know much better than I, as well as you people, but if we're gonna really take it and run with it, I would think it would need to be in the charter. Otherwise, I mean, because I don't think Parks and Recreation wants to give it
See,
up.
the language we used, Marty, if I may, I know, I don't mean to be quibbling, but the language we came up with was sufficiently broad to encompass the
was.
Youth Service Bureau. We just didn't say Youth Service Bureau, okay? And that's the way I think you finesse it. And then I'm just curious, so with the administrative, we're leaving it up to Loretta. I mean, I thought the letter we were gonna send on behalf of the commission from the last meeting. We're not gonna do that, or?
Well, it depends on what we're doing in regard to our commission, how we want to define the commission. If we're changing title of the commission, I think we're gonna be more hard pressed to be able to go forward with that.
All I did was put in a suggestion, nothing,
Yeah.
nothing is changing, this is,
Yeah.
this is off in the future. And if the commission says that the commission wants to maintain the Human Services Commission and put in, you know, you're gonna need to look at the charter and put in the language that you want to do that. That's fine by me for the commission to do something else, that's fine. But we can't decide for the town where youth services is.
No,
We
for
have to
sure.
wait for them to make a decision.
But so wouldn't we though, if we felt that that be better within our commission to propose that within recommended changes to the charter?
Well, that's
We
separate.
did.
that's separate.
Well,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah, and it was well done. It was
Yeah.
well done.
And that's why we have to get that
We
language.
haven't moved that forward, have we?
Well, the
Well, we
vote-
sent it to it was, well, I think it was incorporated
Yeah, we
into
gotta
the
look at-
charter that was
Kinda,
voted down. So the final version of the new charter that went to the voters to vote on
Right.
had those changes in it. But the charter itself got voted down, so now we're back to the original charter. I mean, that's,
So we can't make
So-
the move of the youth services
Right.
to us through the charter. That
No.
has to be decided, you know,
Yeah.
by
Administratively?
the town, right? So whether it's, you know, where it sits and those conversations are ongoing, you know, you wanna, but we can't we can't say youth services needs to be under human services and it needs to be in the charter as such. We've gotta let that process play out.
Okay,
Which
so
is
so
why
we,
that letter, that if the commission decides that they want to do that,
Yeah.
this is a you guys thing,
Well, yeah, I
that
mean, I
letter
would-
needs to get to
I
them.
would think we should.
Yeah.
So,
I
I
think
mean,
all of us support the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know exactly the details of going forward, but I think we all support to bring it under more of a umbrella of the Human Service Commission or whatever we end up calling ourselves.
right,
But you know, I mean, that youth is a big part of it, and she made a very
and
compelling.
yeah, and it was clear that there were many more services that the town should be providing to that population. And perhaps should be better oversight.
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna criticize another
Yeah.
department, I can tell you that they're
Yeah,
changing they've already updated the website, they're already working on programming, so they got the message loud and clear and have new staff that's willing to work on it. So I would suggest you look at their website and see what they're doing, it's better, it's smarter, it's good programming. Town still needs to have that discussion about where it sits. That's above me.
they should include you in that
Oh, no,
discussion.
I am included in it, but that's not, I'm not the decider.
Yeah, and it may put you in a tough position anyways, because you're going against someone else in the town, similar position.
Yeah, Anthony's part of that conversation too, that we
Yeah.
just haven't had any conversations since that presentation because.
So again, next steps at this point would be,
I think we keep the charter on the agenda going forward and then you guys need to decide about sending that letter, write that letter and send that up.
Is Loretta working on that letter?
she was working on it, well, she basically, yeah. she-
I thought the letter, I wish we had submitted that letter to, see the letter at one of the meetings.
so the draft.
Yeah,
And then
right.
I got the impression when I left the meeting that it was gonna be sent by you on behalf of the commission.
Okay,
Because I thought Loretta was, there
She
were
was
two changes
rolling off.
about
Yeah.
making it nice at the end to say, in the meantime, we're willing to meet and talk about it, and we were gonna copy Anthony on it as well as sending it to the first selectman's office. I thought that was it. I didn't think there was anything.
okay, and
So
I didn't.
it's in the
yeah.
minutes. Ms. Jones presented a draft letter, the first selectman recommending that youth service bureau be moved to from Parks and Rec to Human Services, email from Parks and Rec director, get ready to record, motion to approve second letter. Passed. So,
So we should send a letter.
Yeah, that's what I thought that we had agreed upon in November. So-
Yeah, and I thought that was gonna be happening through, the department. I didn't think I was gonna be sending the letter directly, but I certainly can.
because it's from the commission.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So essentially, coming full circle, we're not gonna change the name of this commission
This
in the
point.
charter because
Right.
we're concerned if the youth bureau or youth services comes under us, that we're kind of pigeonholing
And
ourselves
veterans too.
and the veterans. And we don't want to pigeonhole until, yeah, the charter is, too bad that change isn't made before the charter, you know what I mean? So,
Yes, yeah.
but this leaves us open to.
I'm thinking back to that, and I thought there was gonna be a revision in the letter, but well, I guess the letter was approved. So, yeah, we never really talked further about what action to take in regard to that.
So.
Is the expectation that I would then type up the letter, I'll have my secretary?
We have a secretary.
Yeah, I mean, so why don't we, if the secretary could type up the letter, I'm happy
Oh,
to
that's,
sign it.
that's Cheryl, she's away.
Yeah.
So we have to find, I didn't bring those notes, that's on my desk. So what, the draft letter, we did take out, work chart on that. It was just the letter. So we'll have to take a look at that, relook at the notes, and then I think if you could cut and paste it and send it in an email, I think it needs to be a formal stationary letter
Okay.
to the first select, right?
I'm assuming so. That was the intent, I believe.
The copy Dan.
Right, because he had attended that meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
When did Cheryl back?
It's interesting that Parks and Recreation got the message and they're putting some place.
For youth.
I think that was the plan all along. He was just waiting for staff. The website looks fantastic. And, you know, they have, what they were trying to do based on what the feedback was from this, talking about having a comprehensive list of resources, mental health resources, you know, all the stuff that we had talked about on that page. And I give them a lot of credit. And I think what he was waiting for was, you know, is it the final answer? I don't know, but it's definitely, I'm impressed with what they're
I mean, from my perspective, I want to see that you receive adequate services,
Right.
whether it's through our commission or whether it's through Parks and Rec.
Agree.
It just, I got the feeling with that presentation that not as much was happening that needs to
Agreed.
happen.
Agreed.
Well, I do want to,
agree
the
too.
one defense I would say is that they weren't consulted for that presentation to us. They weren't consulted. That's not fair. So, you know, that they're making wonderful strides in it is great, but I want to make sure that they did not have an opportunity to talk or present or.
So is that something, or is that? And asking
Yeah,
them
right.
to come here and talk about what they're doing?
Anthony was here.
It was,
Yeah, no, but he really wasn't presenting, he was kind of
No,
just.
he was just sort of responding.
Yeah,
Right.
but I'm wondering, I mean, is that appropriate? Is that
Sure.
inappropriate? Especially if he feels like he was unable to, wasn't prepared to speak really.
Right.
Because,
Right. I wouldn't put him in a position of defending why youth services is there, just maybe about what they're doing.
No,
Services,
that's,
yeah.
yeah,
And again, I believe we're all on the same page saying we want to be sure that the youth receive adequate services
Yeah.
regardless of
Yeah.
where it's. But I think there's some enthusiasm on the part of our commission to pick that up, if in fact that need continues to exist or does exist.
Right, to make sure that it does exist, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
So getting back to the letter, just so we can talk about it afterwards in terms of exactly how we're gonna operationalize that. If that's something that you would draft, should we do it by email? You know,
That's comes from the commission. That's something I think that the draft is there, but that's gotta come from you.
okay, so so I will then send, you know, that letter
Send it
to First Selectman.
First Select.
Yeah.
Moving on, to Age Friendly, Joe.
Really, we didn't have our meeting this month, but we are meeting early January to continue what we've been doing. So,
Sounds good.
nothing else, nothing new to report.
Thank you. And the Commission on Disabilities, well, we sort of talked about that quite a bit. I don't know if there's anything else that.
There is actually.
Okay.
We have a liaison, Ryan Price, who's going to, you know, come to attend our meetings, report on Commission on Disabilities to you, bring back to the commission anything that he learns. We're having next month. Anthony was there last month talking about Pilot House and it is going to be an adaptive recreation center for all ages. Pilot House is attached to Sullivan McKinney. And it's gonna be remarkable. It's innovative. So he presented at mission and we'll come back as things go on, but just looking for input. It sounds phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Yeah, it is great. That was it on that.
And should we ask Anthony to, I mean, like, in terms of coming back to our commission, reporting what new things they're doing?
If you like, sure. I mean, if he's coming about with youth services, with staff from youth services, they can certainly talk about the adaptive program, which blow you away.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting that if you could have that in January, because I'm not going to be available in January, but
Would you rather be in person or?
I mean, I'm okay on Zoom. That's
Okay.
okay. I just said I'm not going to be here at all for the January meeting, whether or on Zoom. Okay, departmental update.
Things are going well. We had our police union lunch today, with the members there for, the lunch, which is hosted and, sponsored by the police union. Probably 25-ish police officers there, along with, several town employees who, came to do a sing-along. So it's a really, really great day. Raffle this week, where Cindy Bigelow stopped by to pull the names, and it's always super fun having her in the building. So that was really nice, and 25, but all is going really well. Lots of new members
How many
consistently
members do we have?
on
Sorry.
record.
On record.
That's okay, yeah, you know, in the file, 6,000,
Wow.
6,700,
Yeah, something like that.
6,700, I think, yes. Which is great, you know. Active. Just for exercise, some people come. Everything, so, but it's consistent, new members are consistent every week, which is really great, that's what people are wanting to participate. So. He's friendly, we'll, you know, have a monthly update. It's January, at the center as well, we have a once a month to the advisory group meeting with the members. It's friendly.
No, for social services, we're wrapping up the holiday program. There is something else. Brenda and Allison, our social services coordinator this week, went to the emergency response planning meeting. That was at Sacred Heart. That was all our Region 1 towns for, I think it was specifically for clergy.
Yeah, it was for faith-based, you know, worship. Sorry, it's the end of the day, I'm trying to come up with the wording. Some private organizations, and then as well as, senior centers, Department of Social Services, fire department. So it was really, really great. It was a great, community event and a great opportunity to network with others in Region 1, at all, you know, really levels or departments. And it was a panel. There were 4 different panel discussions, 4 really great topics: communication, food, survivors, emergency. So it was really, really great.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Was this the first one they've done?
No.
Okay,
They do typically do one a year,
okay.
but it's great because the more you hear the information, the better prepared we are.
Yes,
It's great to do too.
yeah, that was, yeah.
Yeah.
You had your mental health breakfast.
We did, thank you.
Yes.
We had our,
amazing.
it was great. We had 67 attendees. We had Department of Children and Families Behavioral Health Directors. And I don't remember what his title was. He's not the commissioner, but he's like the communications director for the department. It was great. They talked about their urgent crisis centers and other services that DCF provides. It was facilitated by Jennifer, Chris Behe, and Sarah Kitt. It was great. It was great.
They're really wonderful. Get to what other people doing. So wonderful, exactly, yes, so.
Yeah, big push on trying to get an urgent crisis center, but it's pediatric in our region, because the closest one is Waterbury. And that's-
Some of the needs of the youth service, you know, what we're identifying.
right. Anything else in regard to departmental updates? Any other questions? So we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move to adjourn.
Can somebody second that?
Actually, you don't need to second the motion to adjourn, I don't believe.
I thought I made the motion to
You
adjourn.
make the motion to
You did,
adjourn.
you don't need to.
I'll second and third.
Okay.
We may not need it, we may not need
I don't think,
it.
Robert, you know Robert's rules better than I do, but I don't know if you need that. I could be wrong.
I wanna pick your brain for one minute,
Yeah,
now that
sure.
now that we're adjourned.